For this week's energy forecast, covering April 20th to the 26th, we're going to get ready to navigate some pretty big shifts. Think of this as your guide to the emotional and psychological undercurrents of the week. You know, the vibes that can really influence your mood and your focus. We're going to break it all down, day by day, to give you a really practical guide for what's coming up. So, what's the big picture for this week? Well, the main theme is fluctuation. Just like the slide says, it's going to be a week of swings. You can pretty much expect a real mix of highs and lows, and not just in your mood, but in what's happening around you, too. Think of it this way, it's not going to be smooth sailing. It's more about knowing how to skillfully ride some choppy waves. These swings are probably going to show up in three main ways. First up, you might feel way more sensitive, like things could hit you a lot harder than usual. Second, there's the potential for more depressive, kind of down in the dumps states. And finally, you're going to want to watch out for these possible sudden bursts of aggression. It's a potent mix for sure, so let's look at how to handle it day by day. All right, so let's dive right into the start of the week. These first few days are really all about finding your focus and learning how to ground yourself in the middle of these first waves of energy. The week kicks off with a really specific and powerful theme. Monday is being called the day of the ego. Now, when we say ego here, don't think arrogance. That's not what this is about. It's all about channeling a strong, healthy focus on yourself, on your needs, and on your personal path. This is a huge theme for the week, so let's see how it starts. Okay, so how is this ego energy actually going to feel? Well, it starts with a really strong pull to focus on your own needs. And the real upside here is that this self-focus can bring an incredible amount of clarity about where you're headed. On top of that, it's supposed to be a fantastic day for your finances, with money and resources just flowing your way. So what's the bottom line here? Just lean into it. Trust that clarity you're feeling about your path, and really try not to second-guess yourself. If some financial opportunities pop up on Monday, the advice is to jump on them with confidence. Right. Then Tuesday hits and the energy takes a sharp turn toward that heightened sensitivity we talked about. You might feel like this energetic sponge or cleanser for everyone around you. What that means is you could find yourself just unconsciously soaking up the emotions and stress of the people in your life. And this, it creates a real split. The risk, of course, is soaking up all that negativity. And what's super interesting is how this might show up, almost like a defense mechanism. You might notice this feeling of greed or a reluctance to share your time or your resources, almost like your instincts are trying to protect your own energy field. So the advice for Tuesday, it's crystal clear. You have got to be careful. Protecting your own energy has to be your number one job. This is the day for setting really firm boundaries, knowing when to step back, when to just say no, and how to avoid carrying other people's emotional baggage. Okay, so after that intensity on Tuesday, Wednesday brings back a familiar vibe. It's another day that's really dominated by that ego energy we saw on Monday, and the spotlight is right back on you. So the game plan for Wednesday is super clear. Focus on tasks that are for you, not for other people. You might feel this surge of energy, this urge to kick off a bunch of new things at once, and the advice is, go for it. The day's energy is said to totally support that kind of initiative, and it promises that these self-focused actions can bring results almost immediately. Now, once we hit the middle of the week, the energy does a complete 180. We're shifting from that outward, action-oriented vibe to a period of pretty necessary withdrawal and reflection. This is a huge shift in the tone of the week. And that brings us to Thursday, a day you're really going to want to pay attention to. The forecast even asks the question, could this be the most difficult day of the whole week? And yeah, the advice is pretty blunt. The source literally says it's better to just sleep the day away, to do nothing. Seriously, this is a day for retreat. The energy can bring on depressive feelings, a sense of being disconnected, and just wanting to push the world away. So if you can, the best thing to do is just rest, unplug, and do as little as possible. Don't try to force anything on Thursday. So after that full-on retreat on Thursday, Friday's energy takes that inward focus and flips it into a real strength. This day is all about activating your inner psychologist. This is when your intuition, your empathy, all those subconscious abilities, they are front and center. So you're going to notice this in a couple of ways. First, you'll probably feel an aversion to making any big life-changing decisions. It's just not the vibe. Instead, you might find people are coming to you for advice, looking for your calm and balanced perspective. And that's because those intuitive inner psychologist abilities are genuinely stronger. So, how do you make the most of this? The best advice is to not force any big external actions. Instead, make it a day for you. Friday is described as the perfect day to just dive into a personal hobby. Get lost in painting or writing or gardening, whatever it is that you just love to do. It's about channeling that deep, intuitive energy into something creative and really healing. All right, we're on the home stretch now, the weekend. And this is really all about taking the lessons of the week, solidifying those boundaries, and using your renewed self-focus to start planning for what's coming next. Saturday brings back that ego energy, but this time with a little twist. It's called productive egoism. This isn't just about focusing on yourself, it's about having that fire, that energy to really push your own goals forward and actually get stuff done. So, the advice for Saturday is simple. Be totally unapologetic about your goals. The forecast says you'll have this real sense of clarity, this nothing can stop me kind of mindset. While other people might be complaining or trying to pull you off course, the name of the game is to hold your boundaries firm and just keep moving towards what you want to achieve for yourself. And then the week wraps up with a really interesting contradiction. Sunday is all about what's called a suppressive ego. This means your body is probably going to be screaming for rest, just wanting to do nothing at all. But your mind, oh, it's going to be buzzing with activity, especially when it comes to making plans to improve your financial situation. So if we zoom out and look at the whole week, this table really shows the dominant pattern, right? With that one huge exception of Thursday's need to just withdraw, the week is just dominated by different flavors of this ego and self-focused energy. It really is a week that's demanding that you put yourself first. And this all leads us to maybe the single most important piece of advice for the entire week. Because the energy is so intense and so full of these swings, finding balance is everything.